Don't get emotional, Kratz, but we're a third of the way into the Major League Baseball season.
It's a great time of year. It's a great time of year. It's warm everywhere now. You're not rolling in somewhere and going, well, besides San Francisco, nothing colder than a summer night in San Francisco, but it's freaking just a great time of year. The bats are heated up. The pitcher's arms are either there or they're throwing cheddar. The fans are coming in the stands because there's no school. Let's get it.
Solid take right there. It's good for Major League Baseball, Little League, all the way up to Men's League Baseball. We're watching it all. So this is what I've been waiting for. I want stickiness. I want the sweat to come down a little bit. I'm sick of the cold weather, and we're starting to get the 80s here in Jersey. Woo, let's go.
Attendance numbers are up. Ratings are up big, especially for national games. So I'm giving MLB all the credit for that one. I think when I try to survey casual fans, the pitch clock is a big factor. I know we don't talk about it that much anymore. That's the point. But 2 years ago when FT launched, it was the story in the first few months of the season and really, of course, even spring training. It's helped. It helps. I remember I was in a car the other day and guys like, yeah, I used to go to baseball games, but they were just always 4 hours and there was a lot of dead time. I'm like, you should come back. It's like, when's the last time you've been to a game? He was like 10 years. I was like, you should come back. Yeah. Give it one more try. Let me know what you think. So
You're
anyway,
not going to get your money's worth. You pay more per dollar now to go to a game. Not going to. You pay more per dollar. It's like golfers who don't hit a lot of shots. They pay the same amount as me when I hit 100. I got a lot more shots in for my $100.
Dollars per minute at the ballpark?
Yeah.
I'm a hard disagree there. Number one, they open up the gates pretty damn early. So you can go early because there was a crowd that was like, oh, the game's end too late. Well, now you can get there at 6 p.m. and 7 o'clock game should take you to like 9:38. You got your money's worth. That's a good 3.5 hours at the ballpark. No?
Yeah, it's good. I like the speed. I like the pace that it's at right now. But I don't think players complained about it. It was always fans.
Yeah, but fans pay the bills for the players to do their thing. So the dead time gone is definitely a big deal. All right, let's charge.
He's charging the mound.
Sometimes we say, oh, we have Todd Father, our former Met, or our former Red, or our home run derby champ. How about Todd Father, the Little League legend? Let me know what happened here between the Rays and the Rangers that led to a Rays walk-off sweep.
That was incredible. Ground ball to the right side, bases loaded. First off, first baseman, I don't know what he's doing. He forgot where the second baseman was. I think that was the biggest mistake of them all. And then right behind it, a real quick one right behind. Who was second base? It was, what's his name? Excuse me, I'm drawing a blank over there. Who fielded the Simeon fields the ground ball. He looks at the runner at second base instead of looking at the lead runner at third. He was being held up too. And all of a sudden, the Rays run past the Rangers pretty much like it says there on the bottom. You don't see that too often in a major league game. Once you can't get the guy out at first, you got to look to that lead runner. And he just kept going. Forget about it. And then you run in the dugout excited and look at this easy knock. Oh, man, where was he going at first base? And then, boom, that's pretty much game over. What a slide, too. So it was a close play. But ultimately, I don't know why he stopped looking at second base. Incredible.
I mean, credit to Caminero, who kept running, even though there was a stop sign, kept running. But Josh Smith has played. I had to look it up after I saw this play. Josh Smith has played 8-some games, like not the whole game. I think this is like his 8th or 9th game he's played. And so he knows what he's doing at first. But there was a play right before that where Young at third, like kind of dove, spun almost through to second, and then tried to get Caminero out at first. And he threw it, and Josh Smith was striding at first with the wrong foot. His left foot was on the base, and his right foot was out. And as a left-handed catching person, you're supposed to go right foot with your left foot out and the glove out there. So it was already like fumbled around early, but oh man, it was That is a way to lose the game. And when you're losing a lot of games, like the Rangers are, not the best look.
And for trade deadline purposes, here's what makes things interesting. There are quite a few teams that we expected to be good that have stumbled out of the gate. Some will recover, some will not. That will make the trade deadline much more interesting. You know what I'm saying, Kratz? You're mentioning the Rangers. We've talked too much about the Red Sox. The Orioles are going to be sellers. I think that's pretty obvious. There's probably at least 2 or 3 other teams. The Diamondbacks have been mentioned. I think they're going to rebound. But point is, these are some teams that have, I think, much more serious assets to sell versus going through who we can find on the Rockies that's going to make a playoff difference.
It's the haves and have-nots. And right now, the have-nots have nothing. Like, who are the Rockies going to get rid of? Jacob Stallings? Rockies, who cares about the Rockies? They don't get rid of anybody anyway. When they did have people, they're like, they're a great guy. We're keeping him around. We're just looking to push forward and be positive. But yeah, there's going to be these teams that we just talked about the other day on Wednesday when Todd was on. I think the Rangers can climb out of it. The Rangers go into Tampa and lose 3. It doesn't bode well. It doesn't bode well. And people are going to get back at you because you're like, oh, the Orioles, they just won 6 in a row. They won 6 in a row to get back to 7.5 out of the wild card. Eesh.
Yeah.
Listen,
I think, yeah. Go ahead, Todd, brother.
My screen keeps moving on me. Adolis Garcia, he's batting 7th in the lineup. Do you guys understand that? I mean, this is incredible. They're trying to find guys up and down here. Josh Jung's batting 4th. I mean, they have a good squad, but they're trying. Maybe it's a little too much. I'm looking at who they would trade hitting wise. I don't know. I'm looking at the averages here, man. I mean, nothing eye popping to me. They need to find a way to put it together. That's the biggest issue here, man. This is not the Ranger team we talked about. Go ahead, big dog.
I just wanted, like in class, pick me. I have a name for you.
Let's go.
In the lineup.
No pitchers. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Besides Tyler Mahle, who I think would be an effective starter for a playoff team if they ended up being sellers.
Yeah.
What about Adolis Garcia change of scenery?
Oof, that would change the game right there.
He was clearly motivated. When he hit 40 pumps and led the team to the World Series. If you can get this dude motivated, unless there's a lingering injury, that's my only. If he's motivated, he can carry a team. And he's being wasted right now hitting 7th because clearly he don't got that motivation. He got motivated, got that contract. Now I thought he'd have a bounce back year this year, but
he's not on a long-term deal though. That's the thing. Like he got arbitration money.
He just got guaranteed extension.
Sure.
Yeah. Which is good money and helps players. Some players play better. It did not. Ever since he got that, it has not been quite the same.
All right. So what about the Rays? They've won 12 of 15. Todd Father, the AL East, I think, has been a disappointment. The Rays sold big last year. They're a very decisive team. It seems like they've figured out playing in their home surroundings. They're playing much better ball in Tampa. It's a much better setup for them versus the A's. I feel like those two teams get compared a lot. Do we think that the Rays can hang around and be an annoying wild card contender, a pesky wild card contender all year?
I mean, they got some guys that are doing it. I mean, Aranda, a guy most people have never heard of, going out there and mashing. He's got a bunch of home runs. They have a bunch of guys that are glue guys, in my opinion, that play well together, that mesh well. And they're playing in a minor league park. They're playing like they're on fire. Let's go. I got to play. I want to stay here. So there's something to it. I believe in this team for sure, and they're finding ways to win these close games. And it doesn't matter how they win; it's if they win, and they've been doing it. They're only 5.5 out. The Yankees got a tough little schedule coming up too, as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do enjoy watching the Rays play though, because they play like their hair's on fire, and I really enjoy that.
Based on what they've done, their expected win-loss, they're actually underperforming. Like they should have a better win-loss record by like 3 games. To me, this is what the Rays always do. And yes, they figured out how to play in their home park. My question would be, going the rest of the way, how do you play when Now the second half of your schedule is going to be majority on the road. How much does that wear on guys? Because road trips wear on you, but then you recoup when you go home. They don't have a lot of that. They're going to be the road warriors here to finish the season. So it's something to watch, but they're right there. They're tied for the last wild card spot.
If I'm the Rays, at least make them the Ritz Warriors. Give them the goods on the road.
Oh, they have nice hotels. I played for the Rays.
Yeah, they do.
All nice hotels. Nobody's slumming it. Nobody's slumming it in the big league hotels anymore. Maybe the A's figured out a way to go cheap, because of their owner. And the thing is, if you're talking about a minor league stadium, they're in the biggest big league minor league stadium you can get into at Steinbrenner Field. The Yankees have always done it big time. It's not like they would be going to like an Angels affiliate or something like that who has always cut corners at different stuff. Like, it's big league. It ain't no Sacramento.
Yeah. Hey, if A's owner John Fisher could, he would just rent a crappy house and put 30 of them in there. But you can't do that. That's against the CBA. Last thing, the Rays have their big offseason acquisition, Ha-Seong Kim, rehabbing. I think he just got into a game at shortstop in the last day or two. So that could help. Doesn't hurt. Could help. Anyway, let's get to Ken Rosenthal. A lot to cover with Kenny Ballgame next on FT. I'm pretty pumped about this. We're live right now, okay? This is a giveaway. So head over to the Foul Territory chat on Chat BCC to enter for a chance to win 2 free tickets to a game. This is a contest, the first one that we're doing. Kratz, I want you to pull up Chat BCC on your phone while I'm talking to everyone and pull up the host chat because I'm going to have you read exactly what you sent out this morning in 1 second. So this is basically Christmas in the summertime. We're going to do something like this every single week for a while, probably about 2 months, where we're giving away 2 free tickets up to $400 to a select winner. Sometimes it might be randomized. Sometimes it might be a contest where we're picking a winner. So today and / this week's contest is, Kratz, what did you type in Chat BCC, which is a free app to use to communicate with us?
All the stuff that you just said about $400 for 2 tickets, up to $400 for 2 tickets. All you got to do is you just got to tell us who you're bringing to the game and why. And then you got to invite that person to the chat and mention them in a reply. I think we're announcing it on Tuesday, the winner. So let's get on it. Chat
that is
BCC.
Correct. That is correct. So if you're watching this right now, there's no gimmicks to this. We're going to do something like this every week. We'll have a question prompt. Eventually, we'll do some trivia. Todd Father, 2 tickets up to $400, which gets you some nice seats at a ball game, basically wherever you are around the country. And they'll let you pick the game, and we'll give the tickets out once a week for a while.
That's pretty sweet. I mean, if you've always wanted to bring your son to a game wherever you are in the country, this is what you need to do. It's pretty simple. There's going to be a lot of opportunities. So the more times you do it, the better you'll have a chance to win. I think this is awesome.
I love the chat. Yeah. I love the chat too, because we can talk. It feels like we're just talking with the boys and girls about baseball throughout the night on Chat BCC. Like it's awesome. The whole chat group that's in there.
Yeah, it's been fun interacting with everyone. Come hang out with us, see what we have to say about games, polls, questions that we use on the show. This is something we're really excited about. FoulTerritory.Chat. That's why we're pumping it big this week, but we're also doing a little giveaway session on there as well. Chat with us, chat with the FT fam. It's the host chat and the side chat. Chatting with Ken Rosenthal next. Let's hit the inside scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Ken, good to see you. And I'd like to start with what I think is huge news. I just don't know when it's going to be huge. What was your reaction to what the Chicago White Sox said yesterday about Justin Ishbia, who's already a minority owner of the team and eventually will take over the team as soon as a few years from now, as late as a decade from now?
First off, Scott, I'm going to blow the Athletics horn a little bit. This was reported by John Greenberg of The Athletic in late February. At the time, the White Sox denied Ishbia would have a path to control. Guess what? He has a path to control, and that's what we reported then. Their denials, you can look at them any number of ways, but they were not truthful in the end. As for the White Sox, it's good news, even short term, because it seems like a capital infusion, money coming into the team will be part of this equation, and that never hurts. But it could be some time still before Jerry Reinsdorf yields control. He doesn't want to yield control. It's pretty obvious. That's why he gave us the statement he did in February. We're not giving up control. But that day is coming. And Jerry is an older guy now, I believe 89 years old, and he's still kicking. God bless him. But at some point, this transfer will take place. It's spelled out in the agreement. And of course, we'll see how this plays out.
Ishbia is a partial owner, has been buying up small pieces of ownership for a little while of other small minority owners of the White Sox, correct?
I believe that is correct. Yes, Erik.
Is there a chance within this time, because of this agreement, whatever you want to call it, agreement, or what they've talked about, that he has more of a say in the direction of the organization, even though Jerry is still the head honcho and the one, the forward facing? Does it mean he has more of a say because he is still technically an owner?
He is, yes. And I would expect that he would be included in conversations more than he was in his previous identity as an owner there, as a minority owner. Now he is a bigger minority owner with this path to control. And Jerry Reinsdorf still holds the ultimate hammer, of course, and he will until he is no longer the owner of this team. But I would imagine Ishbia will at least be included in certain conversations, maybe not all, but certain conversations about the direction of the team going forward. I'm speculating here, but my guess is rather than involve him in every trade discussion or free agent discussion, you would talk to him about maybe payroll going to X, Y, and then Z in a 3-year span, something along those lines. And again, I'm speculating. I don't know for sure, but it would seem to me that would be a logical thing to do with a guy who ultimately will one day own the team outright.
Ken, I'm going to ask you to put your column hat on for a moment. It is currently 2025. Justin Ishbia does not have the full power to take over the team with his own choice until 2034. It could happen before that, 2029 to 2033, right, but it might not be for almost a decade. How should White Sox fans feel about this news?
They should feel encouraged that a transition eventually will take place and somewhat disappointed that it won't take place sooner. And frankly, Jerry Reinsdorf has had an amazing run in 2 sports as an owner, but it's reasonable to say that his time has come and it would be better to have new leadership with the White Sox. Britt Giroli and I wrote a story to that effect essentially last year, and nothing really has changed. They're on a good path here and they're doing some good things. They bring Kyle Teel up today, I guess, and the Crochet trade looks like it was good, and some of the things going on in their minor leagues and their rotation that they built just this year has turned out okay. But they've got a long way to go. And ultimately, they have not had success with Reinsdorf in quite some time. So, yes, it's time for a change. And if I were a White Sox fan, I would say I just wish it was sooner.
I brought this up yesterday. Tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong. Jerry Reinsdorf has been opposed, or he's been the proponent, one of the loudest proponents of the salary cap. And
correct,
now with the new CBA coming up, if he loses out on that, could we see this sale move faster? Because do you feel like it's like he's almost like a rogue owner that in this last, I got nothing to lose, I'm going for it, I'm leaving my mark type of moment? Or am I totally overthinking that?
You're not overthinking the fact that he has been a hawk in labor. That goes back to 95 and probably even before that. At the same time, the owners, from what I can gather so far, with their desire for a cap, are fairly unified. I don't know that they're completely unified, and I don't know that small market owners want a salary floor, which would force them to spend a minimum, say, $100 million, which they're not doing now. But it's not like Reinsdorf is out there all alone wanting a cap at this point. There are other owners talking on and off the record to reporters about that and to their employees as well. So I don't know that he would have the same influence that he once did. I don't believe he does have the same influence he once did with Bud Selig, who was his good friend. So I don't see what happens in 26 after the CBA expires in that December affecting what he's going to do here. I may be wrong about that. And maybe if there's a lockout, maybe if this sport is dumb enough to shut down for a year, Reinsdorf says, okay, let's go. Let's do this sooner. But at the same time, let's hope that doesn't happen. There is no reason it should happen. And let's just hope for peace and harmony going forward. I know it's a distant hope. I know it's a faint hope because we know how these sides are going to act when the CBA discussions begin. But again, to answer your question, Erik, I don't really see it having a major impact on what Reinsdorf ultimately decides to do.
Switching gears here a little bit, talking about the Braves, man, what a crazy year so far for them. Not a good one, as we know. People are talking about hitting rock bottom. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think they can make it out of the bottom here and start making an impact on the league?
I do think that can happen. And I wrote as much today, Todd, using the examples of the Mets and Astros from last year, who had very comparable records on the same date as the Braves do right now. And I also used the example of the 2021 Braves, who were not much different in their own right on June 5th or 6th or whatever it is. But at some point, while you can cite those examples like I did, you got to play better. And they have not really played well for quite a stretch here. And yes, they were 0-7. They climbed out of it. But really, they're a 500 team since then. They're still 7 games under 500. And their bullpen issues are pronounced, especially at the back end with Iglesias. I don't know how they're going to fix that necessarily. And their offense has been a major disappointment. Let's face it, 2 years ago, this was a record-setting offense. I know that was an outlier. I know that was unlikely ever to be repeated. But to see Michael Harris and Ozzie Albies not performing the way they should, to see Nick Allen doing what he was expected to do at shortstop, but it amounts to another hole in the lineup, it's just not getting it done. Now, yesterday, they get it done. They score 10, and then they had the bullpen meltdown in the ninth inning, a historic bullpen meltdown. So it was Tom Glavine who said this might be rock bottom. He was their announcer, of course, the Hall of Fame pitcher with the Braves. But I'm not convinced it is. At the same time, at some point, you got to get going. And it's not too late. And as I wrote, long season, expanded playoff format, it is endlessly forgiving. Teams can tank for a couple of months. And I mean tank, play poorly, not tank like the Marlins do. It can happen that way. But again, you have to see some signs of hope. And I will say, last year at this time, we weren't talking about the Mets and Astros being so great. The Mets were just starting to come out of it. The Astros were still 2 weeks away from starting to play better. So this is not that unusual, but at the same time, again, at some point you have to turn it on, and they have yet to do that really for a sustained stretch.
And then I want to get into coaching wise. So Brian Snitker, is he on the hot seat right now? Is there it's going to be a tough decision they're going to have to make if they don't start winning here, right or wrong?
I don't expect that they will fire him regardless of what happens. I don't expect him to get fired. And he's accomplished too much. They've made the postseason 7 straight years, the first 6 of those that were division titles. He's been in the organization 49 years. I know fans don't want to hear this. They're screaming their heads off for his head, for Anthopoulos' head, but I just don't expect they're going to make a change unless for some reason he decides to step down, and I don't see Brian Snitker quitting on a season. So the question then becomes, okay, is this it for him? That I can see. I can see after this year, and he's talked about possibly doing this, stepping down, taking another role in the organization, maybe becoming some kind of emeritus person. But while Snitker is not blameless here, as I wrote today, and there were questions yesterday, there were questions all the time with all managers, really. But there are other things going on with this team, performance-wise, that simply have to change and that are not on him. I'm sorry, it's not on him that Michael Harris has a 580 OPS or that Ozzie Albies has a 650. That's not him. And when Iglesias doesn't have it together, that's not really on him either. Now, the mood of a club, the environment around the club, sure, a manager is responsible for that. They aren't the same team that they've been. They've had changes over the last few years. Freddie left, Swanson left, Fried left. It's a different group. And it's his job to get the best out of that group, yes. But I don't know that you can pin this entirely on Brian Snitker. It's easy. It's what people like to do on social media. Him, Anthopoulos, let them all go, right? But when we're talking about that kind of thing, it's a tough thing to do to a guy of that stature right now. It's something that I will say this, if to a fan out there, if you were in an organization 49 years and you were as accomplished as Brian Snitker and people were talking about firing you because your team's underperforming, how would you feel about that? That's how I would put it.
Yep.
And they've been to 7 straight playoffs. And another thing you wrote in your article that just popped out to me, comfort in contracts. It's never a side that I even looked at, but you kind of mentioned it. Have these players become comfortable because of the contracts they've given out?
The way I phrased it was, is it too comfortable an environment with so many guys signed to extensions? And I don't know the answer to that, but it's a fair question, and it will be continuing to be a fair question if this does not turn around. Alex Anthopoulos made deals that most of the industry thought were really well executed and kind of brilliant. Getting guys locked up early, getting them long term. The flip side of that is that those deals don't always work out. And the Michael Harris one is a questionable one right now. Even Spencer Strider, until he gets back to where he was, you wonder why they did that so soon. So it's a question that I have, that people have raised to me at times. I'm not ready to say yet, as I said in the article, that, yeah, this is the problem. Or I'm not ready to say that it's Freddie and Fried and Swanson leaving that is the problem. But maybe all of these things together have just created a different culture around the team, a different kind of environment. And maybe it's not the best environment. Maybe they need a kick in the rear a little bit in some fashion.
Ken, last question. And before that, a quick statement. Any Braves fan that has a problem with the work of Alex Anthopoulos over the past 5 years or so, I think you got to look in the mirror. And also you got to look at some other organizations. So a little psychotic. But anyway, if this team somehow does become a seller at the trade deadline, I'm trying to look through who's not locked up for a while and think, Marcell Ozuna as an impact bat. Raisel Iglesias does have some decent peripheral numbers, even though obviously he's given up a bunch of homers and there's definitely some highs and lows there. But could he help a team even in a 7th or 8th inning? Absolutely. I don't know if there's anything else you see from that team that stands out.
Chris Sale, if you wanted to do it, but I don't believe the Braves are going to sell. And for them to sell, remember, they're going to have to fall out of it. They're going to have to be buried. And even in a league as strong as the National League is this season, it's hard to be buried in this format with 3 wild cards. If you're around 500, you've got a chance. Now, they're not at 500 right now, and maybe instead of 7 under at the deadline, they're 17 under, and that's a different story. Then they're buried. But if they're 3 under or 2 under, well, they were kind of like that in 21, and look what happened. Now, it took a lot of trades to get them to where they needed to be, but I just don't see them punting a season like that. And I don't frankly see the Red Sox doing it either. Another team that people are talking about as sellers. Maybe they trade Duran if they get the right deal to open the spot for Anthony at some point. Maybe. But I don't see them outright selling. It's just not the way they're built, and they want to win this year. That's what they're trying to do. They don't want another disappointing season. So keep in mind, we look at these things and, oh, this team's playing badly. That team's playing badly. They're going to sell. First of all, there's a long way to go to the deadline. Second of all, keep in mind what the team's intentions were at the start of the season. They're not going to give up that easily. Not saying it won't happen, but to say it's going to happen on June 6th is a little premature.
And 2021, by the way, those brilliant trades were made by Alex Anthopoulos.
Yeah,
exactly.
I went on. Point. You can question their offseason last year. Their offseason, they let a lot of people go. They created payroll flexibility, and really Profar was their only big move. And of course, that has not worked out great. They didn't really address the bullpen. There weren't many other ways to address the offense. So you can question that. It wasn't a great offseason. I don't think even Anthopoulos would say that. But body of work, hello, you're absolutely right, Scott. Why don't you look at some other teams, see how they're doing, and see who is running that show or their shows, and then get back to us.
I mean this as a compliment. I said it on a radio show the other day in Atlanta. Braves fans are spoiled. That's a good thing. You want to be spoiled as a fan. Some fans took that the wrong way. I'm like, okay, try to be a fan of many other teams. Ken, thank you. We'll hear you on Saturday on Fox Red Sox. Looking forward to it, and we'll see you on Monday for Fair.
Thanks, Scott.
Fair Territory just came out obviously yesterday with a fresh episode with Alana and Ken answering questions too. So make sure you check that out. Ken went over the A's situation, the bullpen, the ballpark, the whole deal. And then you'll hear him again on Monday. If you have questions for Ken, by the way, Chat BCC is also a good spot to ask them. And our trusty producer will scoop them up for you. Be right back.
I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Inside Edge stats. By the way, we post these all the time on Twitter every single day, and then often on Instagram as well. They do stats so well, and we find some of the good stuff. Kratz, I'm going to let you run away with this Inside Edge note on Kyle Schwarber.
I mean, there's no way of like, how do you figure out what Kyle Schwarber is doing? And then you're like, oh yeah, it's contract year. This guy's locked in. He's crushing it. As far as what he's doing against lefties, he's got 7 homers against left-handed relievers. He's got, I forget exactly the OPS on.
Here, I've got it for you. So I'm going to simplify it. Sorry, Kratz, to break you up just because we're on break. Second in baseball in innings 7 through 9 this season in OPS. Can you read that OPS for us?
1236. 7th and 9th inning. That's just clutch. How do you spell clutch? Clutch. Kyle.
That's right. And like also apparently Todd Father ISAAC as well. Schwarber was first earlier in the week, and Isaac Paredes has passed him. So a little shout out to him as well.
No doubt. And honestly, it's one of those situations where if there's a base open now, you might as well put him on if you have an opportunity. You have to treat it like that. This guy is always ready in every clutch situation, and he's dominated. And it's year after year, Kratzy, this guy, whether he's leading off the game or whether it's in the last innings, he finds a way to get things done. And it doesn't always have to be the home run, which it has been lately, but he's doing it in different ways, whether it's a walk or finding ways to get guys over. And then it's just, that's the type of player I would look for. We're not even talking about numbers, just clutch. This guy, is he a ball player? Yes. And in late innings, even better. Boom, check it off the list. That would be my number one right there.
He's making teams think, do they bring a lefty in to face him late in the game? Which very few managers want to lose their jobs, so they're going to keep doing it. And he's freaking smashing lefties right now.
Mm-hmm. Props to those two. All right, we're coming back with better than box scores. We'll get to a bunch of things from yesterday's games and a little home run derby news. Better than box scores. Let's start with the Orioles and the Mariners. Now, Todd Father, if you're a disappointing team like Baltimore and nobody called them out like you before the season started, you were like, nope, not going to make the playoffs.
I was being honest. That's all.
And you nailed it. You are pretty good on the prediction front. The Orioles are definitely in a mess. They are going to do their best, give it the good old college try. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. We have talked at length about how they're probably going to be sellers, but they can be spoilers, Todd Father, and they've played the Mariners really well.
They have, and this is what fans in Baltimore and DC area are looking for. I mean, this is the team that they thought they were going to be. I mean, 25-36 is not ideal. Again, I know you said they're going to be spoilers. It's still a long ways to go. They can go on a 15-2 run, and all of a sudden we're talking something else. But I still don't see that happening. They're a really good team. Adley Rutschman has been really good as of late, struggling coming in. I know his last 13 at bats, he's doing pretty good. But again, that's a good sign for them. And to go in Seattle and do what they did, yeah. All right, we could talk about them a little bit here. Let's see how they do otherwise, but it's a good little start here in June.
It's nice. We got to talk about a 6-game winning streak because they beat a good Mariners team. The thing I'm constantly seeing is in-game decisions by this team. And I guess I'm going to point to Manzolino, but bringing in their closer when they're down by a run after throwing the night before. Pitching to Cal Raleigh, who's the MVP of the American League, except for Judge. He's on another planet. He's MVP of the next league he gets called up to. But Cal Raleigh's easily the best hitter for the Mariners right now, and they elected to pitch to him with 2 outs and a runner on third. I'm not saying that you walk him, you go 4 wide, but he ends up hitting a 2-run dinger. There's a lot of bullpen decisions that I'm like, why are we doing these things to a team that needs to crawl out of the cellar right now? And it just doesn't seem like, yes, they won 6 in a row, but they have to start making better field decisions.
Yeah, and that wasn't really a problem with Brandon Hyde. I mean, we'll point out the obvious here with Baltimore. Owners like, whoa, I'm a pretty new owner. We're supposed to be good. We suck. I'm not going to fire the GM yet. We have to do something drastic. And that was the fall guy. So, yeah, the only thing that was weird to me, Kratz, and again, I'm not trying to knock Tony Manzolino. I really don't know him, the interim manager. I thought if Baltimore was really trying to state a case that they were going to get themselves back on track, they needed to immediately announce some veteran manager coming out of the blue to take over here. I know you've mentioned someone like David Ross. Maybe he got a phone call and said no, but I thought that would have been an interesting take to see if someone can actually help a talented team go on a run. I mean, to me, the biggest mistake was they do that, and then right after that move is made, they fell apart even more. Now they're picking it up, but they're just trying to put the pieces back together.
Yeah. I mean, I went on a Baltimore radio show, and the guy that I talked to said the same thing. Like, he wanted somebody immediately. To me, this is really, for the most part, a player's issue. But you brought in a guy in Manzolino who was there. So he saw what the issues were. Even if the issues are just, we don't know what's going on. We have no idea why we have expected batting average in the top 10, but run production is way down. We don't know what's going on. We don't have a starting rotation. All that stuff, you've been there. So I thought he was a good guy because he's been on the bench for a talented team and try to get the most out of them. And I feel like it's kind of turned the other way a little bit, and the players need to take this under – the players need to figure this out ultimately. But there just needs to be something different.
I'm with you. All right, let's give love to the Mariners. Cal Raleigh is a stud. Todd Father, if Aaron Judge wasn't a thing, he would be the front runner for AL MVP. And not only is he on a ridiculous tear, but I thought his quote about the home run derby was awesome. And I get it. Cal is excited about this. He has, I think, climbed into superstardom pretty clearly in our sport now as we look at one of his towering blasts. He said about the derby, quote, I would do that in a heartbeat. And he's leading baseball with 24 home runs. Ohtani at 23, Judge at 21. Judge has done one, and he was insane. That was the one in Miami. But he said, and he just reiterated in the last 48 hours that he is only doing a derby if it's in New York. So we got a little derby news. Cal's going to be in because he's going to be an all-star, and he's going to be at, 30 homers by the all-star break, 30 plus. And Judge is not.
Yeah, I love the quote because it was the same thing. Like, if I had an opportunity, which I had 3 of them, thank God, it was such a blast to do. Like, looking back on your career, everybody's like, oh, it's going to ruin your swing, this and that. I didn't really care. I was having a blast. It's you think about when you were a darn kid, and doing those in the backyard, man, what changes anything? Go out and enjoy it. Pete Alonso will do another one. He'll do his 6th one. He don't care. I'm 5th or 6th. I don't know what it is. But, yeah, this is refreshing. This guy's having a heck of a year, and he's as solid as they come, man. The dude is just good catcher, really good hitter right now. And how many times do you see this, Kratzy, a catcher just hitting that many home runs? I mean, Pudge Rodriguez, I'm just trying to think of some people back in the day, but he is doing it in really big numbers.
I mean, Mike Piazza is the guy that comes to mind, but
True.
he couldn't catch he couldn't catch a cold like Raleigh does. I mean, Cal's one of the top defensive players in the game based on outs above average, framing numbers, and all that stuff. So he is all around game, absolutely. The home run derby, and Todd might disagree with me on this one. The home run derby should be a display of the best power. I don't know that it necessarily has to be all-star guys. It should be the best power to even say, hey, you know what? You qualify through the minor leagues, one minor league representative. I want to see, it's a showcase. I want to see the dudes with the most juice. I want to see Kyle Schwarber there. I know Bryce Harper, for a fact, wants to do the home run derby in Atlanta. He might not be an all-star this year. I want to see Pete Alonso, whether he's hitting 210 or he's starting at first base in the game. I want to see the best power because it's a power showcase and everybody loves it. So Cal should be the captain of one of the teams, and I want to see Big Dumper hit some dingers.
Hold up. Did Bryce announce that? Or is that some inside Philly word that you've got?
That's inside Philly word. He wants to, because think about this, go down to Atlanta. He loves hitting in Atlanta. Sneaky, great place to hit for lefties, too, with that short porch in the chop house. And where's the All-Star game next year?
Philly.
Mignon. Just saying.
That's awesome. I would love to see that. Todd Father, he was great in DC. That was the last time, right? Has he done any since?
I don't remember one.
I don't think so. But that would be great. I'd love to see Bryce in there. Todd, were you always an all-star for it, or one of the years or 2 of the years you weren't? I don't remember. One of the years? Okay. And was that okay? Did you care? Or it's like still cool? No. Hey, I'm going to the Derby.
No, I didn't care at all, if you want the truth. I was really excited.
Was it embarrassing? In a sense of like when I got invited to the MLB All-Star Tour to go around Japan with all the All-Stars, they needed a third catcher. Well, they're not just picking up a dude that's going to go and not play. So I got my role, but it was kind of like, maybe I'm not on the Robinson Cano boat here. Or did you? Really. Or are you cool with that?
I was cool because I had 2 All-Stars under my belt, so I maybe not that year I belong there, but I've been there. I've been with all those guys. Just one of those years where I had more home runs than I did anything else good. So it just worked out that way.
I love that, Todd Father. And that's why I asked it, though, Kratz, because I do feel like some guys will go, oh, yeah, I'll do it if I'm an all-star. And they use it kind of as a little bit of a leverage chip, or just maybe they're genuinely saying, I don't want to go and just do the Derby. But for me, Todd Father, I think we always have to remember what the all-star festivities are about. I mean, everything's kind of for the fans, but this is really for the fans. And if you told 10-year-old anybody in the big leagues that you would get invited to the Derby, and maybe you're not an all-star that year, but they would love to have you, and the Derby gets just as much attention as the all-star game, I feel like more guys should say, I'm going. If I get into the all-star game, great, but I'm going regardless if they ask me.
Exactly. I don't think you should feel ashamed at all, but other people do. It's their own prerogative. Again, no judgment, but if they were like, hey, Kratzy, Frazier, we need 2 guys in the home run derby, let's go. I'm sure Kratzy and I would jump in open arms and go do it right now.
Come on.
Hell yeah.
100%. I can still accidentally hit some dingers in BP. But that's what I mean. You should have a minor league guy. The NBA does it, and as much as the stars do not want to do the dunk contest, it's still a popular thing. And look who's won it. I always call him Seth McClung because I don't remember his real name, and Seth McClung was the guy. Mac, is that what it is?
I think so.
But anyway, he comes up from the D League and wins a dunk contest. It's fun to watch elite professional players do things at an elite level against each other, head-to-head competition. I love it.
Facts. Coming up next on FT, Mets manager Carlos Mendoza. Team's playing well. Super exciting series just now out in LA. We'll ask him all about it.
Scott, you need to check out this Roback hoodie I have. It's 85 plus degrees here in Florida. Look, lightweight, feels great, cool colors, perfect for those hot Florida days.
I agree, AJ. Color looks fire. And you can get your own sweatshirt, polo, hoodie. Go check out Roback. And if you do and you're a first-time customer, Roback.com using the code FOUL gets you 20% off your first purchase. RHOBACK.com, code FOUL. Get after it, FT fam. 2-minute warning, and then we'll get Carlos Mendoza, Mets manager, on the show when we come back from the TV break. This is Jac Caglianone ripping his first big league hit. And I've seen some hard contact. No homers yet, Kratz, but Kansas City's excited, and I think they should be. There he goes on a pitch that ended up, I mean, it would have been a little below the plate, or a little below the zone, I should say, from Miles Michaelis. It's been fun watching him so far. I think I'm believing what I'm seeing. Obviously, you haven't seen a ton of results yet because he just got his first hit in his third game, I think it was. But I believe in the process. I'm saying not long-term. I think most people think he's going to be good long-term. I'm saying I think he's going to be a pretty big deal this year. Like second half, he might be the dude that carries them from a power perspective and makes them a much more legit playoff threat. They were missing something like this.
They were missing power. What it does to their lineup, what does their field, their defense, who knows? But they're missing that power, and they have to infuse him somewhere in the lineup. He has what I think Todd would agree with me, mistake power. Some dudes have enough power to hit the ball out of the ballpark. I had enough power to hit the ball out of the ballpark, even go opposite field. I didn't have mistake power. There's very few guys in the big leagues that have mistake power. He has that. And so it'll be exciting. It'll be tough to hit dingers and Kaufman, but it is definitely something that very few teams can just call up a dude with this much juice.
Energy.
Yeah.
Energy. He's got energy, man. You can see him. He looks like he belongs there. His body type, his figure, his attitude. He's going to be an exciting ball player to watch, and he swings hard. That's what I love. Love everything about him.
I like that. If you're trying to hit dingers at Kaufman at the K, you need a dude that looks like that. So I think Royals fans are going to be pretty pumped. I think the Royals are going to be a sneaky team here in the American League. All right, we're coming back with – yeah, exactly. We're coming back with Mendy talking Mets. Let's chat with Mets manager Carlos Mendoza right now. Mendy, great to have you back on. Really appreciate the time. Last time you were on, tons of views and a lot of activity from our fans. So this means a lot. Good to see you. First, take us through the litmus test. How did the Mets stack up against the Dodgers?
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me. Todd, Kratzy.
Hey there.
Man, what a great series, you know. And it's always fun when you're matching up against one of the best teams in the league, you know, the worst series champs, and to go to LA and to be able to compete against them, like I said, for 4 days, it was pretty intense. And when I say 3 out of those 4 games were decided by 1 run, and it was a lot of back and forth. And yeah, it was pretty fun.
Mendy, what does that look like going into the series? Do you sit there and I know you don't do as much advanced stuff as you used to, but do you sit there and go over the advanced stuff, looking at it, and you go, this is a tough matchup. This is a good team. And how do you convey, hey, you guys are better than them, because they have a lot of glitz and glamour. They have diamonds that are shiny at the top of that lineup.
Yeah, when you're going through and you're doing, we do go through all the scouting reports and we do a lot of advancing and all that. And at the top, that lineup is pretty impressive. I don't think there's a soft spot there. People talk about the first three hitters of that lineup, but what's behind it with Will Smith, Teoscar, Muncy, who he's on fire right now. And then you got a Pajes swinging the bat the way he's swinging. Like there's not a soft spot there. And when you're trying to go through, okay, which guy's not gonna beat me? That's a tough one there. Because we don't pitch to Otani, then you got Mookie. Well, you don't pitch to Mookie, then you got Freddie, and he goes on and on and on. So I think it just comes down to sticking to your strength, knowing what we do well as a team, how we are going to attack certain guys. And, the situation of the game will dictate, some of the adjustments that we will make. So tough lineup, but proud of the way we play against them.
Forget about the Dodgers, man. Let's stay in the East. The Mets are doing it, baby. Forget about it. We don't need no reports. The Mets are doing really good. I got to give credit to Jeremy Hefner, man. I mean, talk a little bit about the pitching. And, you looked on paper, you're like, they'll be okay. But these guys have been doing it, man. Give him a little credit and talk about where you guys are at with your pitching staff right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up his name, Todd, because he's been unbelievable. It is a blessing for me to have that type of guy, as a pitching coach, leading the pitching department. But he's so good at connecting with people, meeting players where they at, just getting to know the player as person, as the human first. Yes, Hef brings a lot to the table because, he play at the highest level. He play in the big leagues. He struggled. He was hurt a lot, so he knows what players are at. And the biggest thing for him is, he recognized how much to give a player. Like there's players that want a lot of information. There's players that want the very minimum, and he recognized that very quickly. He uses all the resources. We have a great group on our pitching department. Desi Druschel, who came over from the Yankees, Jose Rosado as our bullpen coach, and then the whole front office group. They work well together. And but Hef, man, like I said, his ability to connect, his ability to communicate, to filter the information, and his ability to make adjustments in games. Because we all know that you could have a perfect game plan. It's never gonna be perfect. You got to be able to go in and adjust. Read swing. What are the hitters are trying to do? Because we put together a game plan, but they got a game plan as well. So, and I feel like those conversations in between innings with the catcher, with the starters, when a reliever comes in, he's been phenomenal.
Mendy, I know when you were with the Yankees, you saw this all the time. A reliever comes through to the Bronx, and all of a sudden, a similar story happens, right? They unlock something. And you've seen this, I think, even more amplified with the Mets now. So I'm curious, are you surprised at how many pitchers that your pitching development department, everybody else involved, has been able to take to the next level? And also, I just want to shout out David Stearns in the front office. How do they play into this equation too, in terms of who they're looking for, and even conversations that might start before they get to camp or get to the team about what they think they can unlock that they haven't seen from them yet?
Yeah, it's a group effort, and it starts with David and his team in the front office. Identifying talent and how can we unlock certain pitches and adjust repertoire, but then getting the buy-in from the coaches and then the players. Putting it together at the end of the day. I feel like it's a really good system that we got in place here. Everybody, like I said, working together, and it's kind of like a two-way street. Okay, we are presenting ideas, front office present ideas to the coaching staff presenting it to the players, because that's the key too. Like, how are you going to present information to the players? Because they're the ones competing, they're the ones that got to go out there and execute. So just bringing in the talent. How can we make those guys better, and then just making those guys believe that they're good at what they do, and again, it's exciting to see it happening in front of your eyes. With the Yankees, I saw it as well. They do a really good job of unlocking certain pitches and individuals out of nowhere. And I feel like we're doing a really good job of that. There's a lot of examples, but again, I think it comes down to players going out there and executing. I don't think there's a secret sauce. I don't think there's magic to it. I think it's just keeping things simple, meeting where players are at, and just trusting it.
Mendy, there is a secret sauce. It's fundamentals. Half of fundamentals are fun, and the other half are mentals. Fundamentals. You guys look like you were having a lot of fun on the bench the other day. Acuna had, he had the mask on. They were, the boys were yucking it up at the end of the dugout. Do you let that happen? You came from a very buttoned up, everything together kind of dugout in New York with the Yankees, and then you see something like that going on at the end of your dugout against the second best team in the National League. Do you feel like you have to step in and be like, guys, maybe not now, we're kind of beating the brakes off the Dodgers? Or is that something that if you're losing 6-1 or you're winning 6-1, you still want those guys to do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I want the players to be themselves. We're gonna respect the game. We're gonna respect the opponents and all that. But again, I mean, it's a game, man, and people forget at times and take it too serious. Yes, we're like I said, respect comes number one, right? We're not trying to show anybody off here. We're just I just encourage our players to have fun, to be themselves. It comes down to creating an environment where people are allowed to be themselves, but yes, there's a way to go about your business. There's a wave of preparation, and then we got to go out there and compete. In the meantime, we're going to keep it fun. I thought when I was with the Yankees, it got, towards the end, and I got to give credit to Aaron Boone, because he kind of like allowed those players to be themselves as well. And I learned a lot from that. And now here with the Mets, it's the same, like let the players be themselves. Yes, understanding we got business to take care, but just creating a positive environment where they're loose, they're having fun. But in the meantime, we're gonna respect, and we're gonna go out there and we're gonna compete.
We'll
I don't
ask.
hear you, Todd.
Okay, now I got you.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go again, Todd. Couldn't hear
From
you.
Chat BCC, Sean Michael, one of our members and fans, asked, good question here about Soto. How good is it to see the Soto shuffle back in business? So that means he's working a little more now. Talk to me a little about that shuffle. Is that a good thing or bad thing?
Yeah, no, we all love it. I think it's part of the show. It's part of the Juan Soto deal. But I think when he's not feeling his swing, when he's not feeling like, man, I'm getting pitches here and I'm not missing, then I don't think the shuffle will come. And he's been saying it, like, it'll come naturally. I'm glad that I think it was the second or the third game that he was locked in. Every pitch he took, and then you see the conviction on his swing and the balance on his finish, and we started to see some results, because I feel like he's been, well, I mean, the numbers not gonna lie, but the guy's been so unlucky, but it's just good to see Juan being Juan Soto, doing his thing, and just kind of yell with the guys there in the clubhouse.
How about Lindor's pinky toe? Is that something that you are going to have to? It feels so like, oh, it's pinky toe, it must be okay. A broken toe sucks, but he's willing to play through it. Is that something as manager, are you like, do you watch to see how much he's limping on it and maybe give him the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning? Oh, wait, no, he plays shortstop for your team. You can't give your shortstop a day off.
Yeah, no, and with Francisco, man, it's a challenge, because he never wants to come out of the lineup. Like, to give him a day off is almost impossible. Even that day when he gets hit on that first inning, we kept checking, because he was limping pretty bad. And pretty much every inning, I was going up to him. The trainers were going. I was like, I'm not coming out of the game. I mean, we can take a look at him after the game. I'm fine. I'll play through it. I'm hurting, but I'm going to play. And then, we took the x-rays, and it shows that fracture, right? But the doctors are saying it's just pain tolerance here. And we're on the way back to the hotel on the bus, and he's like, wait till tomorrow. Don't send that lineup yet. Give me a chance. Like, he's fighting to be in the lineup the next day. Again, it's gonna be a day-to-day thing. It's not easy for him to be in the lineup. And honestly, I don't enjoy having Francisco in the dugout for 9 innings, man. Like, he's doing a lot of different things. And like, he's driving himself crazy there. So hopefully he's a player for us either today or in the next couple of days.
Mendy, I've got a question for you on Francisco Alvarez. I'm a big fan. I mean, I think one day in the game he could be a 35 plus homer guy. He's still so young. I know he does a great job with the pitching staff. During this series, I watch a lot of Mets games. They were talking about what they can do for the bat, and I think it was Keith Hernandez mentioned he's like, maybe he does need to just get the swing back. You go down for a couple weeks. How do you handle that when there's one side of the game that he's doing so well, and another side that he's just not hitting the potential yet? I know lately maybe, the classic pitch him in, get him to chase low and away. Where do you think he's at? And would you ever consider that? Or would you rather see him swing out of it in the big leagues?
Yeah, and that's our job. As a manager, as a coaching staff, we take that personal, because it's part of the development. You continue to teach these guys, not only the younger players, but in general, big league players want to continue to be coached and want to continue to develop. And in this case with Alvi, he's a young player that is going through it right now. And the good thing is that he works extremely hard. He's very positive. And I feel like he's getting better. The result hasn't been there yet, but I feel like his takes, his swing decisions, the conviction on his swing, he's getting there. He's very talented. Look, this is a guy that, I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but he missed the whole spring training with the injury, and then it's a tricky one. Mendoza Hammate's injury, as a catcher, the receiving hand, and he in the offseason he worked in his swing, and I feel like he's still trying to get the feel for it where he's at as a hitter. But again, I feel like the past few games he's getting to a better position. You could see some conviction on the swing, and we got to continue to help him. Too good of a player. There's a lot of upside there, and he's a big part of this team moving forward.
I have a couple quick hitters for you. What's your favorite food to eat?
Oof. I'm a steak guy. I'm a steak guy,
Okay.
but also the Italian. I crush Italian, So
okay. Hey,
yeah.
I love that. I love every second. Is there a show that you watch right now, or that show you've seen that's your favorite show right now that you love watching?
I'm not. I'm all baseball, Todd. I'm like,
okay.
And then when I'm not at the ballpark, I'm with my two boys. My wife. I'm not and that's something that my wife keeps telling us. Like, let's go watch a movie, or let's watch. I'm like, I'm either watching a baseball game. And I know I got to get better at that.
Okay. All right. No, I was curious. I want to get to know you a little bit. That's great. Baseball all the time. That's awesome stuff. Yeah. When I was hey, that was my last question. What do you do during an off day? Is there's something you love doing, or you just hanging with the fam?
Hanging out with the families. We usually pick a spot to have a dinner. Sometimes we go to the ballpark. I take the boys and we go hit in the cages. We fill ground balls. But like I said, it's more family off days. They don't come too often. You're just trying to take advantage, get your mind out of it a little bit as much as you can. But then here I am on an off day watching whoever's on TV, whatever game it is, and then I got my boys and my wife telling me, like, get your mind out of it.
What's the biggest things that's changed? You went from not a big league manager, besides your greased palo, besides your gray hair. What's the biggest thing that's changed? Sorry, yeah, I see you. I see you put a little color in there.
Losing it too.
Losing it too. Well, hey, I know about that. But what's the biggest thing that's changed for you as a person since you become a manager of not only a playoff team, now a team that last year at this time you guys were like pressing to try to get there the whole way to the end of the season, and then you made it. Now you're the manager of a team that's best record in the National League.
What's changed? That's a good question, Kratz, because I feel like I'm trying to be the same guy, trying to be consistent. whether it was last year, before I became the manager. That's one of the things that I take pride, just being consistent with your personality, whether you don't get too high, don't get too low. So just being myself, trying to get the best out of the people that you work with. But I don't know, that's a good one there, because like I said, I try to every day I treat it like, all right, what can I do today to help players or coaches, or how can we get better as an organization? And as far as like what's different, I don't know. That's a good question.
All right, so I'm going to give you the last one and steer us right back to the thing that we love here. Okay, you're all baseball, so I'm curious because I think last time we had you on, the story hadn't come out yet. Did you know about how the strike zone was being evaluated a little bit differently, and how much of that goes into game planning? We've asked some players, some coaches about it. Logan O'Hoppe, for example, was like, I couldn't figure it out. The Angels catcher, the first few weeks, he's like, some of the calls were a little off. Not that they were wrong. He's just like, they weren't what they used to be. So what was your experience? Did you know about it going into the season? And once you did find out about it, whatever it was, 5 weeks in, is there anything that the coaching staff did differently?
No, I didn't know going into it, to be honest with you. But we started noticing that, man, these guys are not calling strikes as the way they used to. The strike zone look seems to be smaller, especially the catching guys when they're going over the next day and reviewing the game and all that. It's like, man, a lot of pitches that they were close, that they were called balls. And sure enough, when the news came out, we weren't surprised by it. We knew something was up. But as far as like adjusting game plan and all that, no. Every team, going into a game, who's behind the plate and where he likes to call. But that doesn't affect the way you put together a game plan or how you're going to attack a certain lineups. But we saw it at the beginning of the year without knowing anything about it, and then when the news came out, we weren't surprised by it.
Mendy, real quick, last one for me. Is it a fair poll or a foul poll?
Ooh. Are you trying to trick me here?
Yeah,
fair.
What is it?
Fair. Fair.
Okay, and is it an RBI, or if you have multiple, are they RBIs?
I said RBI.
Okay, that's it. That was easy. I get the tough questions for you, Mendy. Okay.
That's what Kratz is there for. There you go. I like it. Mendy, this was awesome. Always really enjoy this. Yep. Good luck this weekend, and we'll catch you again next month.
All right, guys. Good seeing you. Appreciate you guys.
You too. Appreciate you. Carlos Mendoza, Mets manager, with us on FT. Really fun conversation there. And then also, of course, we've got a Mets show on the FT network. If you're unaware, you can check out James Shiano and Mark Luino on Mets Up every single, really after every single series, 3 times a week at least. These guys are bringing it. FT fam will be right back. Hot corner time. Not great news from Schwarber. We'll see what's up. All right, here's a tweet from Scott Merkin, White Sox reporter. Sergio Santos has become the arbiter of Major League dreams. Looking forward to seeing this message of the Kyle Teel promotion, who is their top catching prospect. And he said he can confirm the report from Chris Cotillo that Teel is on his way to Chicago, and said it's going to be interesting to see how the White Sox handle their catching situation. They've got 2 good young catchers. I mean, it's not the world's best offense, Kratz. I'm not too concerned about how they're going to handle playing time. If the Dodgers can figure out getting Dalton rushing playing time, I think if Kyle Teel hits and he's feeling good, he'll get plenty of PT.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be an issue. This isn't, like you said, this isn't some dude they're going to call up and go, you're catching 2 of every 6 games. My guy's going to be in the lineup. They need to figure out how to score some runs. Who knows? Maybe Kyle Teel can catch some fly balls in the outfield too. Just saying, watched a few White Sox games.
By the way, I see Jamin in the chat. Like, why is Cotillo reporting that? Well, he reports on stuff, and Kyle Teel was in the Red Sox system, so that makes sense. Got some sources there. It would make sense that he makes a report like that. More importantly, Todd Father, I'm with you. If you have 3 runs batted in a game. You had 3 ribbies, 3 RBIs.
So officially what they're saying is, I scored 3 run and 3 RBI. It don't make any sense to me, but that's all. Hey, I'm not judging. 2 or more is plural, RBIs, runs.
Yeah. Totally. Because we're not English majors here. An RBI is a thing. If I have multiple RBI, those are RBIs.
That's good. Why? Where does this come from anyway? I was confused.
What do you mean?
It's a thing. No, he's just asking because some people say
why did you bring
RBI.
it up? You just thought about it, or?
Yeah, I mean it's
It's
like a baseball thing. Like Latins, the way they write it in the Dominican and Venezuela, they write if you go 3 for 4, you went 4 for 3. It's just how So baseball vernacular is different in different languages and everything.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's one of those things. Why is it called a home run? When the away team hits it. All that stuff. But the fair pole or foul pole, what do you say, Todd?
Foul pole.
But every time it hits it, it's fair, right?
That's a good one. I like that one.
Just saying.
You're saying.
But the English language often doesn't make sense. I just know it's the foul pole. And if it hits the foul pole, it's fair. Dinger. Hot corner time. We're going to start with some potential injury news. This would suck. Shane Bieber is not going to start today for Akron. He's working through his minor league rehab assignment, but it's on pause. He reported soreness after throwing a bullpen session the other day. This from Zach Mizell, who covers the team. And Shane Bieber met with team doctors. He's going to consult with Dr. Keith Meister to figure out what's next. Never, no offense to Meister, who's been on the show and he's awesome, but never a visit that you want to make, Todd Father. Bieber's really good when he's healthy. And frankly, the Guardians, I don't want to say need him. I mean, they definitely need him if they're going to be a problem in the playoffs. But I mean, this is the guy that they were looking at as the infusion in a rotation that's been okay. So hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is tough because, I know they won the second game against the Yankees the other day, but they're really not hitting that well, if you want the truth. They're not hitting well with runners in scoring position. They need them. They need more pitching. They need more hitting. They need a bunch of different things, and it just doesn't seem like the Guardians of old here. So it's we'll see. We'll see what happens. But when you hear Keith Meister's name, that's a name you don't really want to hear. Hopefully it is good news because you don't want anybody to have any injuries.
And sometimes coming back from these things, you don't exactly know what soreness is good soreness, what soreness is bad soreness.
True.
That's my hope. The negative side of me says he felt this after a bullpen session and not after a start. Or maybe it was after a rehab start, and then he went and was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just throw my bullpen session. Now it's feeling something. Let's not jump to conclusions, but sometimes when you go and see the doctor who did your surgery, hey, you know what? This is common. Where you're feeling it is common. We'll shut you down for a few days. It's okay. It is okay. The Guardians are going to be in it all year. Even if he comes back and throws 7 or 8 starts, I think it's going to be huge because their run in the playoffs will be dictated by if they have starting pitching. I know last year they didn't very much. It was like Bieber and 2 innings of Boyd, but they need some kind of starting pitching.
Another starting pitcher injury note. Let's get to Aaron Nola. He's on the IL right now, off to a poor start this season, but felt some soreness in his right side. So Matt Gelb reporting about how he's going to be out longer. Manager Rob Thompson said very mild, but he's not going to throw live BP on Thursday. They're going to wait a few days. So that's going to push him back a bit. And I generally look at the Phillies over the course of the season. I'm like, they're fine. They're going to make the playoffs. But if you're a Philly fan, would you like to win the division? Try and get yourself a little division or a first round bye? Of course you would. The other problem right now, and it's just a 2-start stretch, but Kratz, talk me through what you're seeing from Jesus Luzardo that changed, because we've got the first 11 starts and the overall number there is dazzling. And then we have the last 2 starts, which is not so great. 20 earned runs in 5 2/3. First pitcher in MLB history to allow 20 plus earned runs in fewer than 6 innings in a span of 2 starts. First 11 starts, by the way, gave up 16 earned runs, and his ERA was at 2.15. Now he's at 4.46. So maybe I don't know, maybe he was tipping, whatever. Something happened and he fixes it. But the thing is, like, this is an ERA killer for the personal side of things for a guy who eventually will hit free agency. And you just hope that it doesn't paint the picture of how he is. But it is 2 starts where you basically lose the game for a team. What are you seeing? Because before that, he looked like he could be in a Cy Young conversation.
He looked nasty. The slider was in the zone and then out of the zone. Now his slider looks like it's in the zone. And I'm not trying to paint a bleak picture more bleak. Those 20 runs were scored by the Brewers, who don't hit lefties very well, and the Blue Jays, who don't hit very well at all. So it wasn't like he was facing the Dodgers and the Mets back-to-back. It was the Brewers. Now, the 12 runs he gave up against the Brewers, they needed him to stay out there. And it also shows for anybody who's out there, especially Philly fans, who were like, oh, yeah, I saw this coming. Yo, he's been lucky all year. No. The reason you give up 20 runs in 5 innings is because the people that see you every day are like, it's okay. He'll get himself out of it. Oh, crap. He just gave up 12 runs. Oh, crap. He just gave up 8 runs. Like, they knew what they were seeing, and it's come on fast here. Like, his lack of execution on that slider consistently, I think, has led to more damage on not just the slider, but on every other one of his pitches.
Yeah, and that real quick, that's if you're not, how you take one pitch away from somebody, it's such a huge help from, even though most pitchers have 6, 7 pitches, don't get me wrong, but there's a consistent 2 or 3, maybe 4 pitches that they use more than others. But if you can limit one of those pitches, that's a huge relief for a hitter. And if they throw over strike, you tip your cap until they get consistent with it again.
Especially if it's a nasty pitch or one of your money makers, and then you lose your mojo. All right, last one here. Another injury update on the positive side. Giancarlo Stanton could do a little rehab game action next week. So obviously he's been out for the whole year. He's got the tennis double elbows going on, but they said he's been making progress, taking live BP the rest of this week. Could start at some point minor league action, rehab assignment next week, Todd Father, which of course Yankee fans would love to see once he's back. But he's also Robert Ory status. Make sure that bat is good to go for the playoffs. And also, there's probably some fans that don't even know who that is, but Big Shot Bob, he was an NBA player for a long time. He would drain clutch threes. And like towards the end of his career, I think maybe with the Spurs, for example, like he'd barely play sometimes during the season. And then they're just like, playoff, 6'10", you're not going to block him. And he drains threes. So Giancarlo, a lot of weird injuries. His body is broken down at times, but playoffs, he hits the ball 1 billion miles an hour, and he is super, super clutch in the postseason over the past half decade.
Here's my thing. There was a conversation about it a couple of days ago. He was doing all activities, but he never swung the bat. And this was a couple of days ago. So that still has, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it, but still you would think, after doing some running and, maybe some defense, you would get some swings in. You really didn't see live or take batting practice. So maybe in these last couple of days, something has switched. But yeah, there's a potential, but again, one of those injuries, I mean, this is double barrel. So these pipes got to be good, man. So take your time. And if it's not, I'm not, these guys, people think, he come off injury 100%. He's still not going to be 100%. He's going to be to a percentage where he can go, and, whatever that is fine. It's a percentage where, you're not going to get injured again. So whatever that needs to be. But again, need to see more swings.
Yep. That's fair. To me, Kratz, it's always like, how there's some people that'll joke like, oh, you can't pull fat, or, oh, this doesn't get hurt. It's like, Giancarlo is the complete complete opposite end of the spectrum. Like everything is pure muscle, and it is really hard for him to keep his body intact to play a baseball game when he's in his mid-30s.
Yeah, but you're also infusing a 27 homers last year and about 2/3 to a little over half a season. You just infuse that into the lineup. Yeah, there's gonna be some pitchers that aren't afraid of it, but just him standing there on deck is just changes how teams are going to pitch to, I assume, Cody Bellinger. I mean, I assume it's going to be Judge, Cody, Stanton when he comes back.
I like the sound of that. All right, FT fam, we're going to get to the Braves therapy session for Braves fans here, or maybe, a lot of other fans are rejoicing over what they're seeing right now. Shawn Coleman, Hammer Territory host, is going to talk us through what's wrong. All right, FT fam, I'm going to do a little training session for everyone. So when you're on a platform, they'll run what's called programmatic ads. We don't control that. That gets run by places like YouTube or a podcast platform, right? That's cool. I mean, you get a minute of it here and there, or less. You can usually click through it. Besides that, Kratz, we've run one ad today for 30 seconds. That's it. It's a 2-hour show. Other days we'll run a few, so maybe it's a few minutes a time. So just wanted to point out that versus a 30-minute television show that has about 8 minutes of ads. So that times 4 is over 30 minutes of ads in a 2-hour show versus 30 seconds in our show. So just doing some simple math sometimes for our friends on YouTube who think that we should just deliver everything for free. It is
and
free.
we're able to do that
You just have
because
to
of
get a little ad.
because of all the support of the people who watch our show. Like tons of people are watching, so we don't need to run as many ads. Like the boys are juiced that everybody's helping out and watching the show. So hat tip to the fans.
Exactly. Tip of the cap. We appreciate you, but also I think we take it pretty easy compared to if you watch a ball game, how about listening to a radio show? Okay. Cause I listened to talk radio my whole life. 5 minutes, boom, 3-minute ad. Be right back, right? That's just how it is. So I love the way that new media obviously has limited that. You're never going to be perfect because you got to pay the bills, and that's what supports premium content.
Hit a QR code one time.
There you go. I was going to say that too. Click it, baby. Click it. Let's go.
I'm not asking for much. I'm just saying every once in a while someone drops a comment and I'm like, bro, you want everything without any ads of all kinds? Please. So we appreciate those that look for the baseball content and let us do our thing because we're always thinking about you as best as possible. Coming up next, Shawn Coleman, Hammer Territory, part of the FT Network. We have 16 total shows too, by the way. So if you're a fan of a particular team and you would like more on that team, we might have you covered. We've got about half the league, and we'll take suggestions for some of the teams that we're missing. But we'll talk to Shawn about what's going on because Acuna's back and they're somehow worse. All right, let's talk. Shawn Coleman is on the show here, host of Hammer Territory with 3 other friends, and we encourage you to check that show out. Shawn, I wish that we were talking during more positive times, but let's start nice and simple. Are the Braves okay?
Are the Braves okay? That is a very, very loaded question. I think we have a few minutes, not a few hours, so I won't get too into detail. In terms of are the Braves defeated, or they're, the mentality of them has changed to where they don't feel they'll be able to improve upon this. I don't think that's the case at all. I can go through whenever I see the Braves go through instances like this over the past few years. One of the reasons why they've been so successful is because they've been so good at bouncing back when they go through lulls. And you can go back to last year, for instance, a disappointing loss, and they came back and won 12 out of 16 right after that. So they've been in this instance before, coming off a horrible loss when they really needed a big win, and then they go on a road trip that's really, really important. The big thing, though, about this instance in time, this season for the Braves, is that they've never been in this era of the team this low before. 7 games below 500 this late in the season. I think the last time they were this many games under 500 was 2016. Nor have they been in a spot where the offense is now more than a year into really underperforming. So are they to the point to where the mentality's changed? Yes. The World Series is still the outcome that they want. Can they still be one of the best teams in the National League to at least get a playoff spot? Yes. But the hole that they're going to have to dig themselves out of, it's not been bigger in the Alex Anthopoulos, Brian Snitker era, and a lot of stuff has to change for the positive, and we haven't really seen indications that it will be able to change as fast as it needs to, even over the past year.
Let's rewind about 3 weeks. Okay, the Braves are starting to play better. Ever since the 0-7 start, they're playing 6-15 baseball. Oh, and Spencer Strider's coming back from his hamstring. He expects to be great. Acuna's on the horizon. And they're back. And they have continued the same MO. As an outside, not a Braves fan, just somebody that watches Braves baseball, can they win when Acuna's there? I'm not saying Acuna's making them lose, but they won the World Series in 21 without Acuna. They ended up making the playoffs without Acuna. Is there something to his aura and his in the clubhouse, or are we just using easy stats to pick and choose that maybe he's not the winning player that he needs to be for this team?
I can certainly see where that perspective would come into play, because you're right. We've seen them have success without Acuna, but we've also seen the fact that in that 2021 World Series, one of the biggest reasons why we were able to win that is because it was kind of the opposite of what we're seeing now. We were seeing a lot of players play above their heads to allow for us to be able to be as good as we were. Our bullpen was one of the most dominant bullpens that we've seen in recent history for a playoff stretch. Jorge Soler, Jock Peterson, Eddie Rosario, they were above their head. Looking at what Eddie Rosario did. Acuna is that superstar level on a consistent basis. So I get where you're coming from, Erik, in terms of, could this team potentially, you wouldn't think about it, but could Acuna have a negative effect? I don't necessarily think that's the case, especially now, because there's so many things that Acuna does in the spot that he does it that is needed to help this team improve. You look at what he's done since he's been back. It's like he's not lost a beat. Yeah, the stolen bases are not there, but he's hitting near a level that he did during his 2023 MVP season. He gets on base. He allows for us to be able to have his presence in the lineup that teams have to position around. You've seen teams do that here recently. Other players just haven't stepped up. So I certainly see in past years where that may have been an opinion that may have had a bit more validity. Acuna is in my opinion, one of the top 5-10 offensive forces, overall players in the games. And now more than ever, especially in one singular source that can help us out in so many ways, we need him more than ever with how bad our offense is performing. So I think now more than ever, I know I keep saying that, it's just that we haven't been this slow at a point in offense under the Alex Anthopoulos, Brian Snitker era. He's our best offensive player. We need him to consistently perform where he has been for us to get where we want to be.
Do you agree with Tom Glavine? Was that rock bottom yesterday?
It's got to be. And I asked the same question on Hammer Territory the night before. Like me and Stephen Tolbert, Brad Rowland, Scott Coleman, the other great hosts of the Hammer Territory podcast, we each had danced around the conversation all week long. Is this rock bottom? Is this rock bottom? And then every single game, it seemed like that was the new rock bottom. Yes, I hope it's rock bottom. And the reason why I say that is because when you have that disappointing of a loss, when it was that much of a needed win in the fashion that we lost it against a fellow team that's disappointing as well, that's looking to get back into the playoff picture themselves. It really hasn't been any worse. And again, I go back to last year. We lost 9-8 against the Rockies in August, and we had a 6-run lead going into the 8th inning in that game. I thought it was rock bottom last year. Well, this time around, the reason why it's even worse is because we're 7 games under 500 versus being 6 games above 500 at that point. So yes, this is the worst we've been all season long, and I hope and pray, do whatever I can to hope that this is as worse as it gets, but we bounce back quickly.
You talk about being games under 500. They are struggling this year, and we already know that. Trade deadline is looming. What are your thoughts? I mean, could it be, I dare say, maybe get rid of some guys or start all over? Do you see them getting some pieces? There's 7 games out of the wild card. It's really not that much if you look at it, but there's a bunch of teams ahead of them. What are your thoughts at the trade deadline?
It's to be determined. And I know that that's a cop-out answer, but to me, that's just the thing that stands out about this team, Todd, as you know, as a player, and I'm sure you experience at times during your career, is that, yes, as bad as the Braves are performing now, there are still elements of this team that easily can lead to a turnaround if the offense can get going. Our defense has been one of the best in the game. Our starting pitching has been one of the best since May 1st. Our bullpen is a mess right now, and hopefully some changes that have recently been made can improve it. But if our offense gets going, we can put the needed 2 to 3 week stretch of winning at the level that we need to win to really turn the conversation around. But to answer your question, if we continue on the path that we are, the thing that I'll say is this, is that if we go a month or so, especially through some of the teams that we're playing through June, and we remain 7 to 10 games under 500, it probably means that this season isn't going to work out the way that we want to. I don't think that has that much impact on the future. I still think that World Series is still reasonable outcomes for years to come. So I think you could see us both buying and selling. Older players who are towards the end of their contract with the Braves, they potentially could be potential trade candidates that could make sense for other teams. But we also, if we find the right deal, could buy for the future cost control player that can make sense. So I think that in the end, the most likely scenario is you'll see us both buy and potentially sell if we remain where we are. But if we do get that surge that we're desperately looking for, we'll certainly be buyers.
All right, 2 guys. I need you to pick one. Sorry, not Acuna. Albies and Michael Harris.
Yeah.
Which of these guys, when you're watching them on a day-to-day basis, seems the closest to be getting out of it? Because if one of them or both of them don't get out of it, it could really signify that trade deadline need for something different.
I think that's a great assessment, because when you look at, besides our main guys, everybody points to Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna Jr., it's those second tier of offensive guys who really need to step up to once again propel us to be one of the best offenses in the league. And those 2 guys, you hit the nail on the head. If there's one guy that I could see it coming out of it potentially, that would be Ozzie Albies. Coming into, I believe it was yesterday, Ozzie had produced 7 walks over his past 10 games. First time he'd done that since September of 2023. You're seeing him start to have better overall plate approach, better performances at the plate. He's got a couple of clutch hits. He's also been able to hit, with more power. I think offensively, Ozzie Albies is starting to find his groove a bit more. Now, what I will say is, I think, though, while it's good to see him working it into a groove a bit more, I think he's closer to getting back to his normal production. It's more important, in my opinion, for Michael Harris to do that, because I think the power potential is higher with Harris. The on base, or when he's on base, I think that Michael Harris is much more of a threat. And just in general, if you could get Michael Harris performing out of that 9 spot with Acuna at that 1 spot, what made that 2003 lineup so deadly, besides the home runs, was that term. Michael Harris and Ronald Acuna Jr. getting on base before our big bats. If Michael Harris can once again do that, that could be a really good indication that we're getting more consistent offensively. But in terms of the 2, which one is closer to getting back to their normal level of production, I think Ozzie is edging closer to being his normal level than Michael is right now.
My question to you is, there's some guys, they've got some contracts here with the Braves. We talked about this earlier, being comfortable. Guys aren't performing the way they are. Do you think players right now are a little bit too comfortable, or you think Anthopoulos did the right thing by getting all these guys signed and going out there and playing? They're just not doing their job.
I think it's the latter. I think right now, unfortunately, Todd, it's just it's a great question. First off, but I think right now it's just the simple fact that right now it is just a perfect storm of many players with significantly high ceilings. Many players who right now who should be among the best overall at their positions in all of baseball, they're just underperforming. If you look at this lineup as a whole right now, and you were to say, okay, name me the players that right now are performing at their expected level of outcomes, you could point to Ronald Acuna Jr. and you could point to Drake Baldwin. Beyond that, I don't think there's anybody else that you could point to, especially when it counts. I looked the other day and compared our heart of the lineup versus all of the heart of the lineups in baseball with runners in scoring position when it matters most if you're not hitting home runs for you to succeed. And the Braves were bottom 3 to bottom 4 in every important category, WRC plus, slugging, ISO, what have you. They just are not producing when it matters most. So you see it in the lineup. I think the clubhouse dynamic remains a positive. I think these players more than anyone know how it's important to get going. And I think they're more disappointed than anyone that they're not getting going. So I could certainly see the idea that maybe they're a bit comfortable since they've got, so many, they're taken care of long-term and all that different stuff. But what makes this team so good when they're good is that you got a lot of passionate players who really know the importance of playing together as a team. That's what allowed for them to win the 2021 World Series. They know they're capable of doing that again. It's just figuring out how to consistently get back to the level that will allow for that to be a realistic outcome.
In the ninth inning yesterday, when Matt Tuiasosopo was on the mound and he gave up. Oh, wait, no. They already fired Matt Tuiasosopo. How bad was he? Because he became a scapegoat, but you watch the games every night. Was he really that bad that you're like, I knew that was coming. I totally knew that he was going to be the reason. Now we're going to turn it around.
Yeah, I think it's the significance of the change from Matt Tuiasosopo to Freddie Gonzalez. It shouldn't garner a strong reaction. I think it was just simply a point that, listen, when it comes to the Braves team, it's pretty clear that with the investments that they made that we just talked about, the expected identity of this team is supposed to be the offense. Right now, that's the point that's struggling. So the Braves kind of just looked at an assessment of every factor that could be impacting the offense, and there has been multiple occurrences. We talked about it a few weeks ago, me and Stephen Tolbert on the Hammer Territory podcast. It's just that it seems like Matt Tuiasosopo did not have the best awareness when it came to identifying opportunities where if he made a certain decision, it would put the odds in the Braves' favor to be able to score runs. And those type of instances had built up over time. So I do think that it was important to get someone there with experience who had familiarity with the organization. That's why they went with Freddie Gonzalez. So in terms of an overall impact on getting the offense back on track, it's going to have, it's not that big of a change. But I do think that it is a needed change because right now the Braves need to improve any way that they can. And if it includes getting more experience that could put them in better positions to win over time, I think that it was a needed move to be made. So I applauded the move, but in the end, it's a minor move more than anything that's going to be a significant reason whether or not we get back on track.
Maybe some people forgot they got rid of their offensive hitting coach, Kevin Seitzer, in the offseason. Now the offense is struggling. Do they regret that? Do they regret getting rid of a Sal Fasano? Because now Kevin Seitzer's out in Seattle where they never hit. And, oh, wait, Seattle Mariners can hit now.
Yeah. I don't think that they regret really getting, it being Kevin Seitzer, coming out of the organization. I know he's in Seattle now. The thing I'll say to this is that the thing that needs to really be made, and this is why it is concerning, is that the offensive concerns go back to last April. You could pinpoint April 28th, 29th of last year, 2024. We'll basically say May 1st. Before May 1st, the Braves offense was at historical times in 2023, got off to a really good start in 2024, and then they just went down, fell off a cliff on May 1st. And a lot of that happened under Kevin Seitzer's tutelage. We saw many players underperforming. We saw the struggles when they're not hitting homers of runners in scoring position. So I think more than anything, what has happened now that the struggles of much of 2024 carrying over to 2025, it's not necessarily that, hey, a change in the hitting coach, we failed in that aspect because I think that a new voice was needed. It's just that once again, these players are going through an extended period of time where they're not performing to the level that they would have expected to. That either means that we need to lower the overall expectations of what their ceilings are because they're not making the needed adjustments, or we overall need to make a complete haul of the coaching staff. Not saying that needs to happen now, but there may just need to be a complete organizational refocus of how the offense goes about doing things so that these players can once again consistently be able to perform at the high levels they're expected to and should be expected to perform.
Shawn, great info, great energy. Thanks for joining us. Maybe, we listen to Hammer Territory in a few weeks and all has settled, or maybe even in August, like in 2021, where they're 500-ish, and then all of a sudden they made some trades and they're a different team and they win the World Series. But we'll see. Good talking to you, man.
One last thing, I'm going to go ahead on record and say it right now. The Braves will make the playoffs. I have faith that they're going to make the surge that they need to. I think this offense is going to bounce back. The Braves will be in the playoffs for the 8th straight year. Todd, I see you waving your hand.
Come on now.
I'm going to say it. Hey, one last thing I'll end with. The last team that was performing at the level that the Braves were or worse this late into the season, 7 games under 500 at their OPS or worse, that won the World Series was the 1914 Braves. We're going to put positive vibes into the universe. So good talking, Kel. Thanks for the opportunity.
I want some of that juice you're drinking down south there, brother. We'll talk later. Thanks.
I like it, Shawn. I'm all about it. Hey, there's a look at Hammer Territory on YouTube. They run shows, usually about 4 a week. There's 4 hosts. It's really good stuff. I like Shawn, of course, saying it with his chest, just like Kratz, I'm sure, was proud of. So anyway, that's all the location for your Braves information. Coming up next, a little What's the Beef? Astros Pirates rivalry? Maybe. BetMGM lockers. AJ fell. Kratz and myself, a successful 4-0 Yankees win, and Baltimore and Seattle kept it under 7.5 there for you, Kratz. What was the final score of that one?
7, 4-3.
So you hooked it, didn't you?
Oh, I hooked them. You might hooked us. This time I hooked them.
Yeah. Sometimes you get hooked and sometimes you hook. All right. Todd Father, I think it's the first time you've been down triple digits in ever.
Hit a lull.
So bring us back to life. You're up.
I'm going with the late game tonight. And we talked about this. The Giants, they are playing the Bravos. I call them the Bravos. They're playing the Braves, and they got to go all the way across to San Fran. I'm going, and they are not. This is the only one that scares me a little bit. Giants are not favored to win this game. I'm going money line plus 110, 300 to win 330 for the Giants to beat the Braves and keep on moving on.
Love it.
We'll see.
Well, I'll ride with you, Todd. I'll keep riding with you. There's no doubt.
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna go easy. Anytime I get even money for the Dodgers to win, I get it. They're traveling. I get it. Robleski's, maybe not. He's not a Yamamoto here, but the Dodgers are a good team, and I'm getting even money, putting 100 down to win 100. Dodgers money line.
Boom, boom, boom. I think I've got time for mine, and then we'll do Pap and maybe a home run pick or two when we come around to this again. Phillies Pirates, first 5 innings, under 4.5 runs, 102 to win 100. Bailey Falter, I've faded a couple times early this year and regretted it. So Bailey, I'm on the train here. 0.63 ERA last 5 outings. Also, the Pirates offense is generally not great, especially at home this season. Last in the league in runs per game there. So I feel like we've got a shot here. So that's where I'm putting it. FT fam, Papelbon's pick next when we get around to this again, but we'll swing back with a little What's the Beef?
And there will be no poop game with the Phillies and Pirates.
All right, let's hit what's the beef as frustrations boil in a rain issue as the Astros general manager Dana Brown tries to protect the boys. So in Pittsburgh, yeah, it took a while. They were delayed for a minute. I remember looking late last night. I'm like, they're still going. You can see the conversations right now, which include Dana Brown, if you're looking right side of your screen, talking to the umpires. Don Kelly on the other side, looking like he's getting into it a little bit. So there was a post-game conversation with Brown, who wanted to bang the game and, quote, protect the boys. He said he's got no beef with Don Kelly, but he does have an issue with getting into Cleveland for their series this weekend at 3:30 in the morning. And he has no regret for his rare public display of anger. Dana Brown, who I can confirm is super nice, okay? He is a super nice dude. He has contributed a lot to this game, and he is a baseball lifer. So if you want to piss him off, you make his team wait forever and then put them at a competitive disadvantage over the weekend. Anyway, he said, quote, I would have preferred to bang the game just because of the conditions and the length and the time and all that. I would have preferred to bang the game. So anyway, who wins here? Who's in the wrong? Kratz, you've played for both teams.
Who's in the wrong? I'm going to go with both are in the wrong. They should never argue in public. There's easy. Don't argue it out in public. You can go and yell at each other in the hallway. But honestly, I wouldn't even say who's in the wrong. I would say Dana Brown might have gotten the boys hype, because I'm sure he didn't just go into the locker room and be like, sorry, guys, I couldn't do it. I couldn't. He was very heated, and he's not apologetic about it. I bet he went into the locker room and goes, I want you to bury these fools. They want you to be out there and playing. We're going to beat them up, and we'll take care of what happens next. But you go in there, and because they came out guns a-blazing. Isak was like, Dana, bring me back. I'll hit you 2 home runs tonight. Framber was like, bring me back. I'll strike out 11 dudes tonight.
It was, I think, Kratzy, that was perfect. Do that underneath a little bit, but to see, both guys having each other's back. I don't think anybody was at fault. I think they're both protecting each other's teams and players. And, if you're a fan there, you want to get the game in. I mean, how many times the fans get to go to the game? Understandably. You got in late, but guess what? That's the schedule that you guys had.
It is, but the Pirates are not in the same boat. The Pirates are not looking to climb back into a wild card spot or a division lead. The Pirates are not traveling anywhere. That flight from Pittsburgh to Cleveland, that sucks. I wonder if they're even taking a bus. Like, that's a tough – you're just going to get in super late for another game, but guess who's staying home? The Pirates are staying home. The Pirates are like, it's fine. We'll just have a late show update, and we'll give a lackluster effort against the Phillies today.
Bingo. And the Astros can never dish it back, right? It's not like – next year the Pirates going to be in town, and I guess they could, Kratz. Let's say maybe it's going to rain, and they're like, let's leave it open and rain it out just to mess with them.
No,
but my point is, I'm saying there's a respect level though. The Pirates clearly don't care as much. They're staying at home. They're not in a pennant race. You don't think there was some of that involved here? Not that it was purposeful.
No.
Like they're like, oh, we're going to screw over the Astros. They're just thinking about themselves. They're like, we want to get this game in. We don't want to have to figure this out later in the season. So we're just going to wait.
Yeah, I think they were going to lose for the Astros. And I think that's probably what pissed off Dana Brown and why he got so heated. Because it's not – if both teams were leaving and they had to get to the next city – maybe we don't wait through, because you're waiting through a rain delay, but then you're also you're putting your players out there on a slick track. Like it's not ideal conditions.
Also, they're only playing each other this one series. So, trying to get this game in, they're trying their best. So that was another factor that comes into play.
That's fair. That's very fair. All right. Let's step aside. We're going to leave a little extra time for slap hands because I'm told we're blitzing everyone with a game to finish on a Friday.
I like games. Yeah.
What's up, my people of FT, all the beautiful people of FT Nation? What's happening? It's your boy Parlay Pap coming to you today on a Friday. Get that weekend cheese. It's pretty simple today. I'm going with Senga and the Mets. Are going to beat the Colorado Rockies. They've already won enough games this week, so they're not winning anymore. That's pretty much that simple. And secondly, Blue Jays don't know who they're pitching today. They're undecided. And Ober's pitching for the Twins, so I'm going the Twins. I'm going to parlay them together, put 100 on it, and let's get that weekend cheese, baby.
Love it, Pap. All right, so picks are all locked in now. Rockies got their quota of wins for the week. I'm with you. I think for the month, the Mets are riding pretty high right now. So locks are set, and also, of course, this weekend, if you got a little home run pick, then you know the spot to go to. That is BetMGM. You can grab the home run boost token if you've got a home run pick. And if you activate that token on a player to hit a home run, you get a little boost if that player goes long. A little boost, a little extra cheese, as Pap would call it. There it is. Score a bigger payout. And if you have a gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's come back. We still got a minute here. Kratz, we're going to do a game. I'm going to give you guys a little head start just to get the creative juices flowing. We're going to go through the numbers that you wore during your playing career with particular teams. So think about that, but also Kratz hats.
I mean, the Cubbies. Cubbies got a big series. I feel like the Cubbies only play really good teams, and they only have a really good hat. But Cubs playing a little Detroit. Little Turk Scooble action tonight. Try to keep the game close, and then maybe try to get to the bullpen. I don't know.
That polo's fresh too. FoulTerritory.Shop.com. Brand new, tons of new items, just in case you're interested. All right, we'll come back, and yeah, I like the blue too. It's nice, baby blue, right? It's close to Tar Heel blue.
It's close. Yeah, I would say this is more Tar Heel blue. This John looks so nice on the course. Woo-wee.
Final 5 minutes of the week for Foul Territory, and we are going to pop quiz Kratz and Todd Father. They did not know about this. I just told them about a minute ago. I need you to run through your jersey numbers in your career. Todd Father already texted in our group chat that because we were like, don't look it up. And he's like, I don't need to look it up. So Todd Father, here we go. I'm going to prompt you on the team. We will start with Little League World Series.
Oh, God, 1-0 me. That number was number 14, Pete Rose, baby.
Beautiful. Next up.
Love that number.
Cincinnati Reds.
Me?
All you. I'm going to go all you and then all Kratz.
All right, 21 for the Reds.
White Sox.
21.
Yankees.
I wanted 21, but 29.
I was going to say 28.
No.
Who had 21?
They went. It was going to be, and then all the fans got pissed off because Paul O'Neill's number should be retired. Paul didn't want that. He was. I think honestly, he didn't say it, but I think he was upset that they were giving me the number 2 as well. Respect.
Ooh. Did you ever wear 21? Did you ever wear it?
No, I was in Seattle and they were going to give it to me. And then, what's his name? Oh my God.
Lou.
Yeah, Lou was like, yeah, we're going to have to change it. I said, whatever. I don't want to get on a bad start here.
Yeah. You're a media darling.
I love number beef. Mets.
Well, I was a couple with the Mets here, actually. So 21, of course, when I came back, it was 33 for Larry Bird, then back to 21.
Nice. Okay. Rangers.
21.
Oh, right. And then Mets second stint. Yeah. We're just going in order here, but you already said it. 33. Two more.
Yes.
Pirates.
Pirates number 99. First ever Pirate to wear 99. This guy right here. And I played 19 games. Joyous. Really joyous. Thanks, Pittsburgh.
Defensive end, Todd Frazier.
What a beautiful way to go out in Pittsburgh. Go
Blocking.
ahead, next.
Last one. Team USA.
Not the number I wanted, but pretty cool. 25. It went by jersey size. So just like when you're in T-ball, the older guy got the higher jersey. So 21 was a large. I needed an extra large, I think it was. And it went to 23, and then 25 it was.
All them gains, Todd. You were on them gains.
All right. Well, if we want to include Kratz's minor league stops, it would take me a long time. So we're going to keep it pro. Yep. Let's start with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Kratz.
38.
Phillies first stint.
Oh my God.
19.
No, I was like, did he freeze?
31. 31.
31. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
31.
31. Okay.
Blue Jays.
31 also.
Yes. Royals.
19.
Yes. Phillies second stint.
28.
Astros 2016.
Just like Jordan. 23, kid.
Ooh.
Boom. Yankees first stint.
36.
38.
No.
Oh God.
Not true.
No, that's wrong on our end.
Yep. I hit 1,000. I hit 1,000 and 36. And the only reason I knew I was 38, honestly, I didn't even know until I went back to the Yankees the second time. I was 38. And so I started my career at 38 and ended my career at 38. It was pretty cool. Obviously, I never got to pick my number. But anyway, continue.
Okay, four to go, 1 minute to play. Brewers.
Dang, that's terrible. 15.
Got it. Giants.
5 or 8? Something weird like that.
You got it. 5's good. Rays.
Rays, was that 8?
6.
6? I don't even have that jersey. I gave it away to somebody special.
And then Yankees second stint, which I know you have.
It's 38.
What's your high school number? Coaching.
Oh, high school, Team USA, 14. Same reason for you, Pete Rose. My dad wore 14, and so I'm like, I'm gonna be like my dad. And the reason my dad wore it was because of Pete Rose. So 14 was always the number that I wanted.
Nice.
That was fun. Well played. Difficult road for Kratz, but you got there. Happy Friday, people. We'll see you on Monday.